top 10 way too early rankings in college football. I'll start it off, huh? I'll do that. Okay. So we're going to go 10 to 1. 10 to 1. Everybody's going to take a turn. All
Oh,
right. My number 10 team for 2026 is the USC Trojans. I'm going to go tell you reasons why. Number one recruiting class in college football this year. If you didn't know, in terms of high school recruiting, this is the number one recruiting class in college football. They're bringing back Maiyava. I think that's how you say his name. Kill. You looking at not Maiyava? Okay. Defense. They did lose their defense coordinator, so that's a little questionable. But they were 9-3 last year. They had some pretty good wins. They've out physical teams like Michigan at home. And look, when you've got the number one recruiting ranking, you're bringing a quarterback back. You play in the Big Ten. Things can happen. I'm going to go with USC as my number 10 team. I've heard a lot of good rumblings about them from people I do trust. So I'm going to be going with USC as my number 10 team in 2026.
before Jake goes, I will say that I was doing my research for this today. Did you guys know that USC, as of right now, is number one in talent composite ratings for next season?
That doesn't
There we
necessarily
go.
shock me.
There we go. Makai
I'm gonna
Lemon's not
go-
coming back, is he?
No,
No.
no.
To go with Miami. I'm gonna go with Miami. They lost a lot. They're losing a lot. They're bringing back they're gonna bring back Malachi Tony. They're losing a quarterback, but hey, they just lost Cam Ward last year, and he was much better than Carson Beck, and they made it to the national championship. I think it's a team who's shown they can build a roster through the portal. They got some guys to build around. They've had a taste of success. I'm gonna go with Miami at 10.
I had a really hard time at 10. I feel like I left some guys out. But I'm going to go with USC as well as my number 10 team. I just think that the Maiyava coming back as a quarterback, Lincoln Riley's done nothing but kind of improve the situation in the last couple of years. I think that continues to trend in the same direction. And also, too, let's forget or don't forget what conference they play in. Somebody in the Big Ten is going to rumble, and they're going to be in 2 or 3 like playoff ranking shaping games for certain next year. And if they could win a couple of them, just saying they could end up just back in this dance like they were back in 2004.
All right. And my number 9 team, I'm going to go with the LSU Tigers. Okay. Sam Levitt, obviously coming in. Lane Kiffin, obviously coming in. They just got the number one defensive player, Prince Hill. I don't want to say his last name, so I'm not going to, but he came from Ole Miss. So that was a big get for them. They've had like the number 4 ranked portal class. They kept Blake Baker as their defensive coordinator. They're obviously bringing Charlie Weiss with them. They're bringing a lot of that Ole Miss staff that just, was part of that big run. So I think Lane Kiffin is going to have it going, and he has to really like this. He's got to get out guns a-blazing, and he's done everything he can to make sure his team's going to be stacked up with talent. And I think the LSU Tigers are going to be a lot better than they were this season.
I don't like that pick. I'm not gonna say it. I'm gonna go with USC at 9. So just a tick better than what y'all said. For all those reasons, I think they should be a dangerous bunch. I'll take them at 9. A little bit better than y'all, but just by hair.
Okay, so my number 9 team is going to be the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Mm.
I just think that they're here because first of all, if you don't know the quarterbacks that are on that team that have survived the transfer portal cycle, they got 2 5-stars and they're dudes. Like Keelan Russell or Austin Mack can play football at a very, very high level. And I think Alabama's got the coaching staff in the building. I haven't lost belief in Kalen DeBoer just yet. I mean, he's still got one of the best winning percentages in history for college football, if you didn't know. Still had Alabama in the playoffs. Yes, we did get a beat down by Indiana, but Indiana did that to everybody. I just think that they're going to make improvements. They're not going to sit here and have the same team and the same identity as they did last year. I think that if they would just look across the state a little bit at what Georgia did last year, and, they kind of had a similar process. You know what I mean? 2 years ago, Georgia was throwing the ball around the yard, and they were like, we ain't doing that shit no more. Let's run the ball, and we're going to commit our entire offseason to doing it. And guess what they did? They ran the ball. I think Bama needs to do something like that. I'm sure they will, and I think that's going to bode well for their success next year. And they're still a damn good, talented football team.
They are. Head spoiler alert, they're not in my top 10. Boom.
Not in my top 10.
I've seen a lot of rankings with them like as low as like in the 20s next year. So it'll be interesting. Okay. My number 8 team's Miami, losing lots of talent. Darian Mintz, it seems like everything happening with him, like they're still going to get him no matter what. They're bringing back Fletcher. They're bringing back Tony. I think just this season in general, like is the U back, whatever, like this season shows that they're going to be here to stay, and they're still in a pretty weak conference. They should be able to dominate it. They should have recruits looking at them in a certain way now. So I think Miami will be hanging around. I'm going to put them at 8.
I'm gonna go with Michigan at 8. Bryce
Mm.
Underwood's second year, feels like there should be a lot of improvement there. Um, I still believe in the Wolverines. I still believe in Bryce Underwood, even though like his freshman season definitely did not go the exact way that everybody was hoping for. You know, he still had some moments. He still absolutely had some moments. So I'm gonna go with Michigan at 8.
I will say that I did not have Michigan in my top 10. I even did like 3 first people out. They were not in that either. I just don't know how much of the talent turnover is going to become a problem for them next year. I know the quarterback's good, but what else?
They're going to bring a
What
lot of
else?
guys from Utah.
I mean, and I'm sure they won. I get it, but who's in the receiver room again? Who's running the ball for them next year?
Yeah.
That's a huge loss.
Also,
I mean, we're this
Alberto
podcast-
Mendoza going to Georgia
Georgia
Tech.
State, yeah.
We were talking on this podcast about how we thought that Justice Haynes was at one point the best running back in America. So my number 8 team is going to be the LSU Tigers. I felt disgusting putting them up here this high. However, you just cannot deny what's going on, man. Go look at what LSU's done in the portal. Their class ranking point total wise is like in the mid 80s right now. The next closest team in the portal is got a class ranking number like 62. Okay. And this is all out of 100. All right. So they're smoking the field on portal talent right now. Lane's brought a lot of really good pieces from LSU or from Ole Miss. He did not get Kewan Lacey. However, he got a lot of other good ones. He's probably about to get Jordan Seaton. If that hasn't already happened, he's still active in the portal and going to get probably the rest of the good players in that thing. Lane wins. You can say whatever you want to, whether it goes well at the end of the season or not. He's going to beat more teams than he don't. He's going to outcoach more teams than he don't. Sometimes he's going to do some dumb shit to lose a game for him, but I fully expect LSU to be playoff competitive again next year. And I think they hit on the quarterback in the transfer portal. That's something that's going to come up later when we talk about who's in my first out.
Okay. Number 7, I'm going with Texas Tech. I'm not too big on Brendan Sorsby being the new quarterback. I'll say that, but they didn't have that great of a quarterback this year. They were still really dominant. They are still spending as much oil money as they can in the portal. I think they're the number 1 class in the portal right now. So they'll be around. They're in the Big 12. I just don't expect them to, like Arizona State last year. It was kind of like they got in and they were 11-2, and they had like a couple good players. Like Texas Tech plays good team football, and I think with the Big 12 schedule, I'm pretty sure they still don't play anyone good outside the Big 12 next year either. So I think they'll run through the Big 12. They'll be in the top 10 again.
I was flirting with them at my 10, and I did not put Texas Tech in my top 10. I did not. I was very much thinking about it. But for number 7, I'm going to go with LSU. Every reason that y'all have already said so far. I think they're going to be able to compete for the SEC. I think they'll be able to compete for a really high playoff spot. I think it's going to be a really good team. It's going to be really well coached. Sam Levitt, I mean, we know he has a lot of talent. We know that Kiffin's going to be able to get the most out of him. I think LSU is going to be a wagon.
All right, so my number 7 is going to be Miami. I'm putting them up here that high. If you call that high for a team that was just in the national championship, go look at what Mario Cristobal's been doing with Miami since he got there. Every year he's won more games than he did the previous year. And, some people will be like, well, the last 2 years he won 10 games. No, he didn't. He was in the national championship game. So I think they'll do nothing but improve somewhat. It's going to be hard to really recover the 1 or 2 talent pieces like Miami. Here's what I mean by that. Miami's got 2 or 3 players on defense that are like first round talents. Okay, I don't know if there's going to be a first round talent pop up next year with Cristobal the way it's been going though. The answer is probably going to be yes. If there's not though, they're going to be good. They've been great in recruiting, and they've played good football here. I just think that Miami's had a track record of making the team better year over year, and they're getting really good athletes. Like nobody knew about Malachi Tony last year. He's going to be back on the team next year, and I bet you Miami's got somebody in the wings that is just as good as that kid that's coming in from that part of the world. Because we know what South Georgia football looks like, or South Florida football looks like when it translates to the next level. It's good, and I think they're going to continue to get better. And also, by the way, if they pull off this Darian Mensah situation, they improved at quarterback.
Yeah. I agree. All right, number 6, I'm going with the Oregon Ducks. Obviously, bringing Dante Moore back.
Wow.
They are
That low? Wow.
All right. They are bringing Dante Moore back. They have 5 5-stars coming in their recruiting ranking. Look, they've been around every year. Dan Lanning's been there. I do think in terms of the Big Ten, they're not one of the top 2 for me. So I think this is where I'm gonna comfortably put them at 6. I think they're comfortably in the top 10, at least 10 to 11 wins next year probably again. I think Oregon's gonna be here to stay, and hopefully Dante Moore progresses as we see. But I think Oregon's gonna be around.
And now you got me rethinking where I put Oregon. uh, I'm gonna go Indiana at 6. They're losing some
What?
good
What? That
What, y'all
low?
saying what, low? That low?
Oh, did you not just see what they did the last? They've lost 1 game in 2 years.
They lost for an enemy. They lost 2 games last year.
2 games. Bad
Um,
math, Caleb.
They are losing Fernando Mendoza, and that was a really big piece of it. I'm not ranking them outside the top 10. I'm giving them the number 6 team in the country. The 5 teams I have in front of them, I just think I'm a little bit more confident in next year. I have full belief in Kirk Cignetti. That's the reason I'm not dropping them out. Most teams, when they lose the number 1 pick in to the NFL draft, and they have an average age where they're losing a lot of players, they're going to drop a lot more than number 1 to number 6. I feel like I'm giving them good respect keeping them at 6. Move on. Hoosiers at 6.
Okay, I've got the Ducks at 6 as well. I
Oh
just
my
think
God.
that
Y'all are gonna hate my ranking. Y'all are gonna hate this. Y'all
I
are
just
gonna-
think like Dante Moore coming back is a positive, yes, but is he game changing, game breaking next year? We'll see if he takes that development leap. If not, don't necessarily know what it really looks like for them. I know they're going to have good players. I know they're going to be staunch on defense. They're going to play well in the big games. But yeah, I think the 5 teams in front of them are pretty damn good.
All right, my number 5 is gonna be Texas. I'm going with Arch Manning, Cam Coleman, which is, a absolute huge get. Like, Texas lost Parker Livingston, or Livingstone, I think that's maybe how you say his last name, to Oklahoma this year. But you can't upgrade harder than Cam Coleman. Maybe it makes sense why he left. That's a whole nother story. But anyway, they're also bringing in Will Muschamp as their defensive coordinator, which I think is going to make leaps and bounds, and they already had a really good defense last year. We saw Arch Manning get good towards the end of the year. I think he's going to be comes out guns a-blazing, whole year under his belt. Texas has to win. I think they'll be back ready to go. So I got Texas at 5.
Don't kill me, please. I got Notre Dame at 5. Is that okay?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, I was like getting ready to get stoned right there. I think Marcus Freeman's a heck of a coach. I think CJ Carr showed us some things down the stretch. I think he's a solid quarterback. That's got a whole freshman season of experience. I think he'll be better next year. Now there's going to be some key, plugs. Like, what are we going to do with Jeremiah Love? That's going to be a key thing that they have to work on. But I think that Marcus Freeman recruits well enough. I think they're going to be good enough. I have them in top 5.
I've got Texas as 5 as well. And the name that I wanted to say, going with you, Garrison knows ball. It's Will Muschamp. He's going that unit's going to be good. Like, Pete Kwiatkowski did some really good things with Texas over the last couple of years, but Sark got to the point that he was worrying about defense at the end of this year because they were so susceptible on that side of the ball. Those days are over. And I think Arch, he could be the best quarterback in the country next year. I think there's a clear and obvious path for that to actually happen. You're just talking about the development that the kid had. We saw him in Ohio State. And go look at him in the season. He's like 5 touchdowns, 1 rush, and 365 yards. Like, he's turning it loose against good football teams too. So I think Texas is going to be just fine going into next year.
Agreed. All right, I got Notre Dame at 4. Look, they probably won't lose next year. The way their schedule's set up, they play Miami. That'll probably be their hardest game. But they get that one at home. They have 4 or 5 stars coming in their recruiting class. They have a vengeance. Watching Marcus Freeman on College Game Day the other day before National Championship. Guy's just an easy guy to like. It's a shame he's head coach of Notre Dame, but I think Notre Dame, just based on the talent profile that they have, the vengeance that they will have going into next year, I don't see them losing a game probably. So I think I got them at number 4. I'm not going to give them the respect though because they're not in the conference.
Yeah, fair. They should just join the conference. At number 4, I have Texas. A lot of the reasons I've already touched on. Caleb says he thinks that Arch Manning's the best quarterback in football. I'm just going to say I think we were a year early on Texas. I think what we expected out of Texas this year is what we're getting out of Texas this year. Sark, Muschamp, Arch. They got some good transfers coming in. Give me Texas. I think Texas is going to be a real threat this year.
This is where I've got Indiana at. I've got them at 4. I think it's still a respectable number. Obviously, college football if you go by the date and times of how we live in the sports world nowadays. They're losing a lot. let's not get it twisted. I mean, they're going to lose senior leadership is the main thing I think they're losing. Like people can talk about the players as much as they want to. There's players out there that are talent wise just as good as the guys that Indiana just lost, and they're probably in their portal class this year or in their recruiting class last year. I think they're gonna be fine in replacing, the player ability part of it. The leadership and getting it to jail is the only reason why I put them at 4, not number 1, because Cignetti's done it. We've seen it, but these are guys that he cultivated 3, 4, 5 years ago. There ain't much more of that lingering around that building anymore. They've got a really solid quarterback situation. I just think that the coaching expertise and him maintaining his staff for the most part, he did lose his strength coach, which is huge, but everybody else just about, as far as I've seen, is staying. So having continuity in that department and maybe a year later on schemes, maybe the game catches up to you. I just think that they're not going to be 16-0 like they were this year, but they could get really, really close. I think they're cream of the crop of the Big Ten at this point for this season, just about.
All right, at number 3, I got Ohio State, bringing back Jeremiah Smith, obviously bringing back Julian Sayin. They're bringing back a lot of nucleus of that team. I think they'll be back. They'll be, probably a little bit improved on offense. They really stalled out, obviously, at the end of the year between Indiana and the Miami game. I think they'll learn from that. They've got a big game at Texas in like week 2 next season, so we'll really learn a lot about them. That'll be a fun game. But look, it's hard to think Ohio State outside of the top 5 like ever, really. So you just got to tip your cap to them. I think Ohio State will be right in the thick of it, just as they always are. I got them at number 3.
Yeah, I think this is the first one that I've agreed with anyone that we've just gotten right. I also have Ohio State at 3. For all those reasons, they're returning basically everyone. All the people that matter. They're coming back. I think Sayin will be a lot better. I think we're going to see a crazy year out of Jeremiah Smith, 3rd year in college. I was tempted to put Ohio State at 2, but I couldn't do it.
Well, that makes 3 of us. I've got Ohio State 3 as well. Me and Garrison have been in lockstep for 4 picks now, so we'll see if we can make it the last 2. I'm sure we're different.
No, you didn't. Who did you have it for?
Indiana, right?
No,
who'd you have?
I have Notre Dame. So we switched it up a little bit, making the graphic a little difficult. Okay. My number 2 team is Georgia. Look, Gunnar Stockton is back. This was a young team, a very young team, and they played a lot of close games. I think they've meshed together through that. Look, we're losing guys like C.J. Allen. I get it. Some offensive linemen like Monroe Feeling or Free, I don't even know how to say his last name. But they're bringing back Nate Frazier. I know they lost Branch. They're bringing back Lawson Lucky. They're bringing back important pieces of this team. And they lost, out of any SEC team, they lost the least amount of players to the portal. Okay, guys like KJ Bolden are coming back. Guys like Ellis Robinson are coming back. Guys that buy into the culture. And look, Kirby Smart's going to have this team ready to go. The 9-game SEC schedule is going to be interesting. We don't really have anything outside of the SEC next year on the schedule. So, all disrespect to Georgia Tech. So I think we'll be right back on it. I think we're the back-to-back SEC champs. I think we'll be the cream of the crop of the SEC again. I got Georgia at 2.
I'm so confused on who you're going to put at number 1. Like, I'm like looking at my list, and I'm like, who is Garrison's number 1? I guess I can't remember who
keep
you
going.
have or haven't.
You're good. I think I know who it is.
I got the Dogs at number 2 as well. Wanted to put them at 1, couldn't do it. A lot of the reasons he said. I losing Zachariah Branch is scary to me because a lot of what? Why are you looking confused?
Who are you putting at 1?
Yeah, who I'm putting at 1. Listen, Zachariah Branch leaving scares me. In a lot of situations, he was our offense. It was 3rd and 12, quarterback, just screen pass. He picks up a first down. So I got the Dogs at 2.
I've got Georgia at 2 as well. I think that when you talk about Kirby keeping his own guys in his building and being able to use that whole offseason to build the team up, man, I think that is an incredible recipe for success. And you get the quarterback to come back, he's going to be better. I think Georgia's going to be excellent.
Okay. So we're going to have 3 different number 1s. I think I know what everybody's is. Look, this is respect. Indiana, number 1 for me. Look, I know
I thought you already put Indiana.
I have not. So I put Indiana as number 1. I know they're losing a lot, but how can you doubt? I don't doubt anymore. It's hard for me to do it. Josh Hoover is probably going to be the quarterback from TCU next season. There's a lot of the guys that are older that are leaving. We've talked about how they have one of the best portal classes coming in. They're getting the more talent. They're going to have so much money backing everything. They have another easy schedule. Like it's far fetched for me to see them really losing. Like they play Ohio State next year, I believe, in the regular season. So that'll be fun to watch. I think it's mid-season, so they should be kind of have everything figured out by then. I don't have any doubts that Indiana will probably be right there again. I mean, it's hard for me to go against them right now, and so it's really just about respect, and that's what I'm doing. I'm stamping the respect on Indiana for number one next year.
And good for you. I truly thought you already placed them. So Indiana was out of my head, and I'm looking up and down my top 10. I was like, is this dude about to put Texas A&M at number 1? I
Out of
was
my
very
top 10. Out of my
Yeah,
top.
all right. My number 1, I'm gonna go with the Oregon Ducks. I'm gonna go with the Oregon Ducks.
Insane.
I think they're going to be a problem next year. They have one of the youngest rosters in all of college football this year. One of the youngest in all college football. They are returning basically at the entire team. It's another year of Dan Lanning. It's another year of Dante Moore. I think it's Dante Moore, Arch Manning, and I think everyone else. I think everyone else at that point. I think we're going to see a fully loaded Dante Moore next year, and I think the Oregon Ducks are going to be an absolute force to be reckoned with. I think this is going to be the best Oregon team that Dan Lanning has been able to coach, and I have them as my number 1 team in the country.
Well, the pick that was going to get anybody stoned is mine right here. I'm putting Notre Dame at 1. I just think that the schedule sets up for them to not lose, and they're a really good team. Really, really good team. The quarterback's going to be, if anybody's going to rival Arch Manning on best quarterback in my mind going into next year, it's either Sam Leavitt or him. And I'm saying Sam Leavitt. That's probably going to get more riled up than people letting me pick Notre Dame at 1. I just think any quarterback for Lane Kiffin is going to be incredible. Notre Dame is going to be fine. I mean, think about what they had to endure this year in order to have them have heartbreak, and we don't know what they were like in the postseason. I think they would have won a couple games, personally. Could have been on the same similar run as Miami did, but we got that taken away from us because they had 2, close losses to really good playoff football teams at the beginning of the season, and it booted them out. I think they're going to beat Miami in Miami next year. It's early, okay? So there's a lot to be shaken out or seen, but that game was close in Miami, and I don't know if it's going to be too far-fetched to say Notre Dame's not like a 3 or 4.5 point favorite in that game next year. I think that if they win the big one, like if they get the big games that are on their schedule, I think the rest of them just going to about take care of themselves like they did this year. You're looking at a 12-0 team undefeated going to the playoff.
All right. Well, that's it. That's the top 10s. Any first team outs you guys want to put down?
My teams out were A&M and Texas Tech. Those are my 2.
Those are the 2 I had listed as well, and the reason why I didn't put Texas Tech in my top 10, I told you guys I was come back to the quarterback thing. I don't think Sorsby's going to stick for Texas Tech. I just really don't think that highly of him. I understand the team's going to be good. They spent a bunch of money. They'll be fine everywhere else, but we just saw it this year. Like, what is going to let them down? I think this is a bold take. I think the guy they had this year might have been, for a totality, you're talking about the leadership, knowing what to do, might be a better than Sorsby will be next year. That's my personal feeling. And I know he's the number 1 quarterback, 5-star, this and that. I don't buy it. I had them out, I had A&M out as well, but A&M would have been the team that I would have put USC between them. Like, it was kind of a toss-up. I wish they would have moved on from Marshall Reed somehow or another. I'd feel a lot better about A&M. And then BYU is the other one that I think should probably be noted. They've got a ton of returning production next year, which got us last time, but I think you got a different coach in Sataki than you did the other guy.
Yeah. I had Oklahoma as one of mine. Bringing back Mateer. Defense is probably still going to be just as good with Venables. I think they can build off. I think last year was huge for them to be able to go on the run that they did have. And I just think they'll build off of that and be a fringe playoff team again. And I also had A&M for all the reasons. It's hard to think, like, just based on what they had. Like, I know everyone talks about the schedule, but I think A&M is shown now that they can do it, and I believe that at 10 wins next year, which is probably going to be good enough to be putting you right outside the top 10.